All right, we're live. All right, so here we go, fellas. All right, Mark, introduce everybody. Mark, go ahead. We are live now.
Welcome to the Friendly Men, everybody. Okay, starting in the top left, there is James Eads. Then is Benjamin, his brother, myself, Mark, who's also part of the Friendly Men. Got Richard Stanley, Acacia, and
Jerry Montano.
God, you're such a nerd. Okay, so all right, well, I'm going to start this off because Richard, I'm going to go to you. So, Richard, in your document, in the documentary, The Island of Dr. Moreau, you told us a story on the last stream that we did about the entity trying to attack you in the hotel room in Japan. I was wondering, did you ever have another experience like that where an entity was trying to get down your door and try to get into the room? Did you ever experience another situation like that, Richard?
Well, a few times, because I reckon it's stress related. In that, I think what you're referring to is the old hag or
correct
sleep paralysis, when you find you're trapped between sleep and waking, what you'd call in a liminal state or a hypnagogic state, where you're somehow asleep and awake at the same time. And usually you're aware of everything that's happening, but you've got no ability to move your body. And often there's a sensation of a tremendous weight or pressure which is holding you down or pressing on your chest, which may be the source of a lot of the medieval incubi and succubi stories. The notion of a crushing incubus or a nightmare resting on your chest. But yeah, a sense of a great weight, often something banging or trying to get into the room at the same time. At least this was my experience of it. But I think it's an experience which almost everyone has had at some point in their lives, and it's I imagine relates to on some level to the UFO abduction experience, because I read very, very similar things from some of the reports I've gone through, and I also think it relates to the vanishing hitchhiker stories, the stories about dead things and nocturnal visitants that get into your car when you're driving long distance. Because I think when you're driving a long way, there's a tendency to slip into a similar state where you're somehow where the gear is stuck between worlds and you're neither awake nor asleep.
Now you talk about similar states. I love this subject. Have you tried to have out-of-body experiences? I've heard that people do that, that they levitated over their body, and when they do have these out-of-body experiences, they see the spirits around them. So I guess back to my main question: do you try to put yourself in an out-of-body trance, or does this just happen on its own naturally?
Well, I'm not very proficient at inducing these things. So generally it's something that happens accidentally. And it's usually pretty terrifying. In that usually the first thought that comes to me is, shit, I'm dead. And there's a sensation of panic and a desire to try and get safely back into your body again.
That makes perfect sense, because I feel that I overheard this, that when the body dies, a lot of times the spirit or ghost, if you will, stays with the body for 3 days. So I would imagine if you're in that sort of trance-like state, you would assume that you are dead. And that's incredibly frightening. Jerry, I know you do a lot of stuff with Ouija boards. Why?
Yeah, why don't you ask Jerry the same question, doofus? Give it to the panel. Jerry is also part of it. And also, Jerry is the guy who inspired our favorite cartoon character, Nathan Explosion. So technically, we're talking to Nathan Explosion.
Well, Nathan Explosion.
So Jerry, what do you think about this? Ben's first question about out-of-body experience.
Tried to have an out-of-body experience, Jerry?
Well, I mean, I've never tried to have an out-of-body experience, but I mean, I've certainly felt that feeling of what he's talking about. You know what I mean? Sometimes you just never know if it's like, when you're about to fall asleep and you're like, what the fuck? Like you feel like that something's like spooked you. I haven't had per se like that sort of a situation. I mean, I've had some pretty fucking weird, unexplainable things, you know what I mean? Not really so much like some kind of demonic entity type of a thing, but I mean, there were a few years where a very good friend of mine, his grandfather was Anton LaVey, right? So
The Anton LaVey, who
Right,
lived in
so-
the Black House.
Right. So my friend
Yes.
Stanley used to stay at my apartment all the time, and his grandfather is Anton LaVey. He's dead now. He died a few years ago, but he looked identical to him. Like they look. If you ever look up Stanton LaVey, and then you look up Anton LaVey, they're pretty much like you can't tell them apart. You know what I mean? But that's huh?
I do, but I think when we discuss Anton LaVey, there's always that weird discussion where did he actually believe in the supernatural? Obviously, modern Satanism sort of strays away from that, and he's the father of modern Satanism. So,
right.
So like, was he really into the
there's-
supernatural?
Ben, shut up. Let him speak.
there's certainly that aspect, and I think that was, I mean, not to go too far into that lane, but I think that was like a big problem in their family is that one side was kind of into this kind of the fake public version, and then kind of more of a real version. You know what I mean? But
So
anyway,
similar to like Aleister Crowley.
I mean, I don't know if I don't know if his family was. I didn't know that there were any other family members with him that were involved in what he did that were like, say, on one side or the other. I'm just saying with the satanic, with Anton LaVey's family, there's the sister, there's the grandfather, there's like two different sides of them. Some of them felt that other people were about money and it was fake and not real, and then he felt that there was like a real side, and there were other people that were involved that were into the real magical pure side of it that was genuine.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Now, okay, so we have another guest with us. We have Acacia. Acacia, did you experience anything Ben's been talking about, out-of-body experiences and stuff like that?
No. Sorry. I've never experienced sleep paralysis. I have been able to astral project. I read You Are Psychic in high school, which is by some guy who was in MIT. And he talks about the extra 4 senses that we have, which is between the third eye, the head, the ears, you can hear things, and then the gut, the intuition. And so I've been able to tap into that, but it's never happened on accident, and I've never had these cool experiences that you guys have.
Well, I haven't had any. Mark, I don't know. I don't think Mark has. So Richard,
my body's pretty big, so I'm trapped.
So mine, he said that he saw things in my house, and the shit would move when I wasn't around. Shit like that.
Now, have you experienced that when you are home by yourself, where stuff just
when
moved?
he was in my house, and I would be asleep in my house? He said that he would say there's definitely things around you. There's magical things. There's demonic evil things in your house. Things move. You know what I mean? He said he saw something move right in front of him.
Have you used a Ouija board in your house? I know you collect them.
Well, when it comes to the Ouija boards, I believe that I had talked about it before. When I was traveling around on tour, for some reason I had this idea that I wanted to make my headboard out of human skulls.
That's pretty cool.
Once I realized that they're like fucking $700-800 each, and you know what I mean? The idea of having an entire headboard of human skulls was kind of out. So my next idea was, how about if I just do the whole wall behind my bed of old original Ouija boards that I could find? So I started like, whenever I was on tour, I would go to estate sales on like the East Coast, Boston, wherever I could, I would find them. And then I would track down these boards, you know what I mean? And a couple of them, I would eBay them, but I would try to find them in places where I could go track them down and find them, because I felt like it was creepier and scarier and a little more, real. And so there were a few estate sales where 3 of the boards that I got had been in these old houses from these 80-year-old women that they found them in the back of closets, and it was just junk. And they found out that they were worth a little bit of money, and they were selling a bunch of stuff, and I got a few of them. So what I did was after I got them, I had them all framed, like custom framed in my house. And I never had a problem with them, but a lot of people that were around would always say that spiritual people would say, there's something really dark about this thing that you have this house full of them. And I would see, like, there's been many times where I'll be like on the couch and I'll see somebody walk right by, like a fucking person, you know what I mean?
Wow.
But the one chick, there were a few that were freaked out that would never come back here, you know what I mean? So eventually what happened was I decided that I'd had them for like 20 years. And so I decided I would like maybe get rid of them. And there's a guy out here in Burbank that has this gallery called the Hyena Gallery, where they sell like serial killer art and, Gacy stuff, Ramirez stuff. And he took them into his place, and I fucking forgot that he even had them. And I ran into him at one of these conventions, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I sold those boards." And I was like, "Oh fuck, I forgot that I even gave them to you, that you had them in your shop or whatever." So it turns out, the whole place is full of fucking serial killer. He's got Gacy's everywhere. He's got Ramirez art everywhere. He's got all the coolest like serial killer shit. And so apparently Zach Baggins goes in there because he's opening up some, like, he was doing his museum. And he said he walked into the store, and of all the things, he went straight to my boards and said, "These are the most haunted fucking things, the most evil things in your entire store." He walks past all the fucking Gacy's, all the Ramirez, straight to my boards, and he bought them, and they're in his
museum.
They're in his museum.
Wow.
And this is a question for anybody. Do you believe that used Ouija boards, the spirits that are attached to them, stay with them?
Richard,
after they've been used?
Richard, actually, go back. Richard, so Jerry collects Ouija boards. And Richard, as I see behind you, you have lots of artifacts and interesting things. Did you ever collect anything haunted, like haunted items or, haunted hats maybe?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like a constant trade here. I mean, I'm based in the French Pyrenees, and I get a lot of very strange items coming across my tabletop. I mean, we see a lot of bizarre archaeological plunder, and different items, old grimoires, magical texts, which change hands for frightening amounts of money.
Jeez. Now, okay, so Richard, segue. Jerry said he would see people walk in. This is a great segue into your famous ghost, the Montague white lady ghost that you've written about. Have you seen her recently, ever since we last talked, which was back in May? Did you have another experience with her?
I haven't been back up to Montsegur a bit this summer, so I've been actually down in the Wren area. But I believe the White Lady of Montsegur still walks. She likes summer nights, particularly when the moon is full. The last first-hand report I heard was from the first full moon of August, which was coming from a guy who was camped out on top of the hill, who claimed he heard a woman's voice singing coming from the castle, was the sound phasing in and out of sync. And then he got a bit nearer and claims to have seen the shadow of a lady walking down the one side of the castle, just the shadow cast against the wall, and then going through the door. And he says he followed her into the courtyard, but of course didn't see her again after that.
The ghost cast a shadow?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure whether the white lady's a ghost or not, because I'm not sure she was ever alive. I mean, technically, a ghost, I guess, is something which might have been human once, and I can't tell whether they're.
Do you think she's dimensional?
What's that?
You think she's from another dimension?
Or
what do you mean when you say she was never alive?
Well, I can't tell whether I don't know what she is personally. The jury's out. I mean, we do have ghosts, and the ghost. There's a lot of little things around. Like the castle's full of odd little things. There's something that taps a stick on the front battlement, and sometimes comes down the steps. And people have heard that stick tapping since the earliest reports are from the 1920s and 1930s. And there's very commonly reported hammers clinking and sounds of anvils.
And the ghost casts a shadow.
Yeah, in this case, the story I heard, there was a shadow, but no person, just a shadow, which allegedly walked down the one side of the castle. And there's different manifestations. And yeah, this summer I've been down in near Rennes-le-Château in Rennes-le-Ban. I've chalked up a couple of ghost things, both kind of minor but fairly classical. I was in late summer on the one flank of the Rennes Plateau at Rennes-le-Château, searching for an alleged portal area, and myself and my partner Simone both clearly heard horses' hooves with horses riding by, but no horses. And again, this issue of the sound of ghost hooves, horses riding past, like the sound of clinking hammers and anvils that you can sometimes hear at Montsegur, or clinking chains, is very classical ghost stuff. And there was also an episode this summer where we took a Ouija board up to a notoriously haunted place up at the headwaters of the river that flows through this valley. It's a place called the Domaine de la Salles, where the former occupant, now dead, made a bunch of analog tape recordings back in the 1980s and early 90s, which were allegedly of ultra-dimensional or extraterrestrial beings moving about underneath their house, which was something very similar to
Evil Dead.
Yeah. And of course, the analog tape recordings disappeared. He played them on French television in the early 90s. So this was a guy named Jean de Rigny, who was the hermit who lived in the Domaine de la Salles. So we went up there this summer. The house is now deserted, and lit some candles and set up a Ouija board in the downstairs of it, and tried to sit as close as possible to where the analog recordings had been allegedly made back in the 80s and 90s. And yeah, much to my surprise, the Ouija thing didn't really work for us. And we didn't hear any extraterrestrials, but all three of us in the room very clearly heard somebody get out of bed in the master bedroom upstairs, and the sound of two bare feet going clunk, clunk onto the floorboards upstairs, and then the sound of the feet walking across the bedroom and going into the hallway, presumably going to the bathroom. So I think rather than aliens, we were hearing Jean getting out of bed. Years and years before. Again, a very classical ghost thing. Bare footfalls on the steps. Yet there were three of us there, and we weren't on drugs or particularly drunk, so I have no reason to imagine we were really hallucinating. We simply assumed there must be a squatter sleeping upstairs who had woken up, and we went to explore, but of course found nothing.
What occurs to you, Ben? Shut up for a second, Ben. Shut up for a second. But it'd be amazing being a squatter in that home and just waking up and there's like candles and people playing with the Ouija board. If I was that squatter, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm leaving," you know.
Hard. I would fuck with you.
Has anybody ever been?
Go ahead,
have you
Jerry.
ever been to Bothlaskin Manor?
No, I have not.
No.
Can you enlighten us, Jared?
What?
Yeah.
I've been to the
Enlighten
Whaley.
us.
No, I'm saying Crowley's house.
No, I've never. No, it's Aleister Crowley's house. Like you can go there.
Well, I believe that it burned down. You know, like it caught fire a long time ago. But they say a lot of crazy stuff happened up
You
there.
mean the one in
Scotland.
Italy where he had the compound where he was doing all the sacrifices and stuff?
Scotland, I believe, right?
I thought it was Italy.
Yeah.
I thought it was Italy.
Now you're referring to Boleskine Lodge on the shores of Loch Ness.
Yeah.
Yeah, the former property of Jimmy Page, who had it for years and years.
Yeah.
There's been,
Richard, can we just start calling you Gandalf because you just have all of the information and like you're from New Zealand, correct? Like you just are Gandalf now.
if you say so, yeah. I'm actually from South Africa, though.
He's from
who's
South Africa, Arcasia. He's from South Africa.
sorry? Oh my gosh, I'm
By
sorry.
the way,
Cool, it's a long time ago.
I watched Hardware last night.
Well,
Yeah, and that's funny because Arcasia watched Color Out of Space yesterday. So both of you
I watched that one too a few days ago.
The colors in that are just so pretty.
Yeah, exactly. Now, okay, so go ahead.
Comment. Oh, sorry.
No, Arcasia, all right, so this is your turn. Segue into aliens. Now, we brought you down because you reached out to me and claiming that you could communicate with these beings. Could you tell us your story so we can hear what you would have to say? Go ahead.
Okay, so I guess it starts when I tried to kill myself like 13 years ago. I had, I guess, a hallucination where I was walking up a hill and people were having picnics. And they were it would be people having picnics with what looks like a homeless person, very disheveled, whatever. Long story short, basically, it was kind of given the option, like whatever Jesus or whatever you want to call it was like, look, you came from a good place. You were born in America. You were born as a good looking female. You never had to worry about food. You know, I gave you everything, you know, so like, you really didn't have any reason to do this. So like, if you want to pass on, that's fine. But if you want to like actually go back and not take it for granted, then I'm going to give you a chance and you can go back. So I opted to come back. And ever since then, I've had these weird abilities that I can't explain. And actually, it's funny because I thought that the aliens that I was talking to, I thought they were Jesus for a long, long time, but they always would have like a footnote of like, we don't like that name. I don't like that name. And I always thought it was like, I don't know.
You could have tried Jesus. Could have tried Jesus.
Oh, I live in Southern California, so like I live next to a Jesus. So,
all right, well, continue. Go on. What? Tell us. Go ahead,
Call me
please.
Jorge. I like the name.
Or
I was reading the articles about the guy who works for the government who recently came out and was like, yeah, all of this shit is real. Like this stuff, we've known about it. Specifically, there was a line where he says, we've known about it since the 30s. And I like wasn't trying to contact them at all, but I read that line and I specifically heard behind my right ear, like, well, yeah, duh. And everything kind of clicked into place for me. I was like, oh, okay. So, yeah, they talked to all of us. All of us. And I'm not special. I just listen. And I think people don't take their abilities seriously. For instance, one of the first times I talked to them, I was on shrooms. And I remember having a thought like, oh, this is just a drug induced, like, or this is back when I thought it was Jesus. So I was like, I don't deserve this. I'm on drugs, like the whole guilt bullshit. And I remember hearing very clearly, you brought that. As in, like, you brought that bullshit. Like, we don't have any judgment of that. And that is one thing that aliens, or whatever they are called, like, whatever you want to call them, they have taught me so many things that, like, I just didn't understand at first. Like, gender and the concept of good and evil are purely human constructs. Like, my understanding, what they have told me is that, does anybody know what a Tamagotchi is?
Probably, Richard.
The digital toy, the digital pet from the 90s.
Yeah, that's what Earth is. That's what Earth is. So, we started in the ocean. So let me preface by saying that all the information that is given to me through a scope that I can understand. Like, and they make that very clear that, like, it's kind of like explain like I'm 5. Like, I'm going to explain to you how I'm held back by my understanding, I guess, is what I'm saying. So I'll do the best that I can, but, like, there's a lot of things that we haven't gotten to at this point. So a lot of things aren't going to make sense in certain ways. Like, the alien abduction thing, I actually did talk to them about that, because at first they were like, yeah, no, because they don't have to travel here. They have, I talked to, I spoke to you before about Event Horizon, how they talk about the piece of paper folding and then they push the pencil through. Also, they talk about how if the sun were to go out, it would take 8 minutes for us to know. So my understanding, what they've literally said to me is, you have to look at it from the right angle. So, like, if you were to go to Neptune right now and look at the Earth, you would see it in the past because of,
How long is it like to get from Earth to Neptune, right? We're seeing the light.
So it's like time travel does exist, but it's not going in reverse. It's finding the right angle, I guess. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can.
You're fine.
That's fine.
But yeah, so we started in the water. That's why everything in the water looks fucking alien. And the primordial ooze was an accident, like us becoming humans. Like the aliens that I speak to are very scientific. I kind of got on top, I veered off a second ago, but I talked to them about the abductions, and the ones that I talk to don't do that. They don't have any necessity to.
So you're saying there's more than one race of aliens?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sorry, I don't mean to be condescending.
Yeah, you're fine.
The ones that I speak to were the ones that are, I guess, responsible for us. And another thing that is huge, aliens, the ones that I talk to anyways, and for the most part, aliens aren't going to look the way we think they are, because having 2 eyes and a nose and a mouth is a carbon-based lifestyle, or a carbon-based life form. They are the characteristics of a carbon-based life form. But carbon-based life forms need oxygen, and there are only a couple of planets that have that. So aliens, when we see them, but we don't know that we're seeing them, because we're assuming that we're going to see something that looks like us. And everything out there that isn't carbon based is silicon based. So I don't know what that means specifically, but like they're here. A lot of people, when they think that they're experiencing like, what's that new M. Night Shyamalan movie with David, the one where it's like going to be the end of the world?
Oh,
I
the
it's probably some movie
happening,
on some streaming service.
No, it's a knock at the cabin or something.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah,
in that,
recently, yeah.
in that film, there's a scene where a character sees the shine of light off of glass, and it like is sort of a spiritual experience, and that's how they appear to us. I guess it's so funny. They're fucking talking to me right now. They can appear as they think, what they think we were going to look like, but for the most part, like they're scientists. So they're just like upset. Like they're scientists and they don't have love. I guess their understanding of emotion is a lot different than ours. They do have excitement because they are enthralled by us. We are, the plant that they didn't think was going to grow, sort of deal. So they are enthralled by us, specifically love. They are very, just, I don't know. That's what makes us beautiful to them. Like the fact that we don't follow what you would think should be the natural course. And
Wow.
Yeah, so we're basically like, but they also have said we're Tamagotchi, like I said, I'm sorry. But also they do acknowledge that like the abductions, like there have been things that have happened, but they say that those aren't like they would classify themselves as aliens. They wouldn't classify those things as aliens because it's like a dimensional thing. Because once you've figured out how to ride the light wave, what the fuck does that even mean?
That's Richard. Richard knows a lot of stuff. Send all your questions to Richard.
So real quick though, so that experience changed your life for the good.
Which one?
You experiencing these aliens in one of your darkest moments has changed your life for the good. It's been a positive experience.
And now you met Mark. So now it's downhill.
Absolutely. But I want to classify that they're not saviors.
I don't think I was making that implication, but more that it was a life-changing moment.
Absolutely. I'm sorry. I just wanted to classify because a lot of people, they say that. But a lot of people put this like undue pressure on it. And it's not a religious thing. Like religion it's great. It helps people. It absolutely does. But as far as they're concerned, it's a thing.
Yeah, people need something to believe in. Jerry, what do you think about that? Everything that she's been saying, Jerry. I mean, what's your comments on that, Jerry?
I mean, look, I think that if there were aliens, they wouldn't be fucking green men. I think it's cool that we thought of that for film and TV and shit like that. I love the idea. I think that God is bullshit. I think that people just are afraid to die. You know what I mean? Like, let's be real. When it comes to God and Jesus and all that shit, it's just, for me personally, it's just it's because people are just afraid to accept the truth. Everybody wants to feel that that they're an individual and that they matter and that we're all fucking individuals and we all are playing this role in this fucking cosmic whatever, and don't want to believe that the truth is that we're here to make another person so the species just goes on further like anything else. Just our brains have developed further, so we are afraid of death. So we make up all this magical fucking shit so that we're going somewhere important, and that there's this guy who's like, secretly micromanaging our every little thought and existence, and that, you know, there's this thing for everybody. You know what I mean? That's just my thought personally. When it comes to alien stuff,
They say the same thing as you. Well, they say like we have very vivid imaginations.
yeah, and then when it comes to the alien stuff, of course there's something else out there. I mean, we to believe that we're the only thing that's ever existed. I mean, there's a really important word when it comes to all that, and it's like it's the word infinite. You know what I mean? Like you're talking infinite. That is a massive word. That means you can't even comprehend how far that is. So, you know, to think that we are the only living intelligent anything in an infinite vast forever is pretty fucking retarded. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. I have to
mean?
respectfully disagree. I think if we see, I think I respectfully disagree. I think it's all unknown. And
you think out of infinite
boards that have like
so what I'm saying is you think out of infinite foreverness, we're the only intelligent being that's ever developed ever in time, that it's just us, and we figured out God and we know it all, and we're the superior mind of infinite vast forever.
Well, I don't know if we're a superior mind.
But you're saying no, what I'm saying is you believe that we're the only intelligent life that's ever happened or exists in forever vast universe.
No, you know what, Jerry?
He takes it back.
No, I kind of.
I'm
sorry. I'm changing my opinion. You're right. I don't know.
Yeah, Ben. All right, yeah, Jerry, you put my brother in his place. Richard.
No, it's not that. I'm just saying if it could happen here for us, it's bound to happen in other places. So, you know, like my feeling is that yes, it does. There are others. There are what we would call alien, because they're not our species. There has to be other things out there. You know what I mean?
Also,
Like, we're not the only microorganism in the ocean. You know?
I was gonna say, Acacia, did the aliens ever mention like where they're from? Like, you know, is there a place they
Our
came
favorite
from?
state?
They're trying to be mysterious about it.
I mean, actually, I've never asked, but yeah, there is a yellow-based planet that they are from, but
Interesting.
Do they like Cracker Barrel?
Yes.
Do these aliens have Cracker Barrel?
you know what?
Do they work with Taylor Swift?
Sorry, what did you say, Jerry?
I said, do they work with Taylor Swift? Is that why she's so famous? Maybe she's actually an alien. You know,
makes sense.
Music, strangely enough, music is something that translates over the universe. That's so fucking weird. They literally said it.
I'm sorry. Okay, so go ahead.
Oh, they, like, when you guys talk, they literally were like, yeah, we've heard it.
Yeah, they don't like Taylor Swift probably very much, Jerry. I mean, but they get VIP access to their concerts. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what planet are you from? I'm from the yellow one. All right, you got to go back in there. Richard,
I mean, look, when it comes to alien stuff, I mean, you know, maybe there's no way of knowing what is what. You know what I mean? Like, but I can't say I've seen enough dead people. Like, I've seen enough dead bodies and dead people to believe that there's something about, there is a life force or something. And then when you see someone dead in front of you and you know them really well, that's definitely not them. You know what I mean? So when it comes to that, I truly believe that. You know what I mean? So is this a fucking, you know, are we all alien and that's our life force, and these meat suits are our fucking, you know, like our fucking spacecraft? You know what I mean? Like, I've thought about those things throughout my life. You know what I mean? Or, you know, like the idea of like, you know, this sounds crazy, but I've always thought the idea of like, if you take mercury, right? And you drop it on a table, and when
Element?
you're a kid,
Planet.
like just mercury. No, not the planet.
Okay, the
Like
element.
the silver stuff, mercury. If you take it
It's a
and you
question.
drop it on a table, and it breaks up into a bunch of like perfect beads. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it'll shatter, and they're all perfect little beads. What I've always kind of thought, and then if you push them together, it just goes back together completely into a perfect
Wow.
bead again. I've always kind of looked at like things like that, like maybe that's what love is. You know what
That's
I
how
mean? If
works.
if a soul is like a life force, maybe if these two life forces are from the same source somewhere, it's like beads of mercury, man. If you put them together, they're like, you know what I mean? And the thought of that, if you have two energy sources that just want to be combined back to its thing together, and this is in the way, they're attracted to each other. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I've always kind of thought of things that way. Maybe that it is a fucking, that the light, it's more about what's in here, the whatever it is, you know what I mean? That source. And then maybe some of the other other things that like Richard's talking about, a lot of these things would start to more make sense, you know what I mean, that you sense or that you feel or that are left or remnants or whatever, you know what I mean? But that's just kind of my crazy take on some of that shit, you know what I mean? But for the most part, I'm a
The
bass
mercury
player.
property is spot on. That's like how it works. So like basically like energy cannot be created or destroyed. That is a scientific property. We know this for sure. And it is proven that the body holds an electrical current, which we could call a source of energy. So basically like we all are a blob of information and experience, especially intense experiences, emotional experiences. So like when you die, the blob goes back up to a big blob that is everybody and everything, and you become connected to everything. And then when you are reborn, you kind of break off from all of that. And that's why sometimes you meet somebody and you automatically like or don't like them, or
True. I've been waiting to hear Richard. Richard's been quiet for a long time. Richard, you've taken in a lot of things. What's your take on all of these things that we've been chit-chatting about?
I was very much enjoying what Jerry had to say a moment ago. Yes, certainly.
Go ahead, go ahead, Richard, please.
Yeah, certainly in traditional African witchcraft, in voodoo, and a lot of I guess trance-based syncretic faiths, Candomblé, Santeria. There's this idea that our body is the good and faithful animal that carries us in life, and our consciousness is the divine horseman that rides it, that gets into the saddle. That there's it comes down to the nature of our consciousness, I guess, and whether that survives the death of the body or not, whether it hangs around a few days, or where the heck we actually are. I mean, for all I know, we're in some kind of very complex sandbox video game into which our consciousness is currently downloaded. Whether we come from here or whether we're
Right. Yeah, or
So-
if we're existing in the present, or if we're existing in the past, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or even whether the past and the present exist. I mean, just like having
Or
the
was
whole thing on
created.
the hard drive, where we are now might just be where we're currently reading, where the point of light is. The stuff that's in the past could be earlier on the drive, the future's further up ahead, and all those things are still currently existing. It just depends on how we scan the data or how we experience it.
Richard,
I agree.
Now, Richard, what I wanted to say is hearing her stories about the aliens. What's your opinion about her communicating with the aliens after hearing what she said, what she was talking about?
Oh, well, I can't tell whether they were aliens or ultra dimensional beings, or the unknown, the unknowable, reduced to humanly acceptable terms, because often if we're dealing with things which
the last thing you said.
Yeah, if we're dealing with things which are completely outside of our sensory perception, outside of the range of our normal human sensory organs, or outside of this the three-dimensional world we're in, we're going to perceive them in the way which I guess is tailored to to our consciousness.
Wow, Mark, go ahead, Mark. What's your thoughts, Mark? Good job, Mark. He came prepared.
Richard,
Good job.
what did the Druids know about the supernatural?
Yeah, and I can't say I'm an expert on Druids. I don't know. I guess they were living in a far more primal world than the one that we're in. And one thing I would.
Can I just say I really respect you for saying not an expert on something? Like, I really take you seriously. Like, I already did, but like, I really respect that. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
That's good.
Well,
There
there
a lot
you
of
go.
people out there, they think they're experts. They try to peddle themselves as experts. So it's nice when people are like, I'm not going to say I'm an expert because it's like, that's cool. Like, when there's so many people in society like trying to peddle themselves that way.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
To circle back, Richard, when you were talking about the Druids and not having much information, do you feel like we were closer to the supernatural when things were more simple, less technology was around?
Well, we're certainly closer to nature. And a lot of the time, the supernatural is things which are nature, but to the power of 10, kind of in their at a level of intensity that we don't always experience them now in the human world. Also, I think we're so surrounded by humanity, by human thoughts and designs, by a world that we've made into our own image in some way, that it's very difficult to get fully beyond that these days. Back in time, I imagine things were different, and also I think a lot of these experiences, the abduction and contactee experiences, and many of the confusing events that we're confronted with, particularly in crazy points in our lives, or under the influence of mushrooms, or
suicidal thoughts that she was having.
It definitely, in ancient times, we would have codified that into a shamanic or a magical process. A lot of people underwent very complex shamanic initiations in the past that entailed out-of-body experiences, dealing with ultra-dimensional spirits, nature spirits, and gradually gaining the necessary tools to deal with the other world. So in some ways, we've displaced that because it's no longer really a part of our culture. We're kind of try to approach that relationship with the unknown in a different way. I think we've lost Jerry.
Yeah, Jerry, where's Jerry? He probably went out and got to the bed. It is 11 in the morning in California, so he's probably he's probably taking a leak. No, Richard, to continue what you were saying, though, I just want to know your heroes, because, like Acacia was mentioning earlier backstage, was The Color Out of Space, is very spiritual movie with colors and deities and entities and stuff. Acacia, did you wanted to ask him a question? There's Jerry. So, Acacia, you wanted to ask Stanley about Richard about Color Out of Space, didn't you?
Yeah, I also was, I had a thought and I fucking just lost it. Oh my God. Hold on.
You can ask, are you going to?
I just got to scroll back. What were we talking about? Because Richard touched on something. My ADD, it kills me.
Oh, yeah. Well, Jerry, welcome back.
Richard, what were you talking about?
I was only gone for a second.
I know. Mark has a great memory. Mark, what was Richard talking about?
Oh, he's telling us how we're closer to nature back in the olden days before the technology.
Thank you.
See,
So,
Mark's the computer. Mark's the human Wikipedia. He keeps everything stored in his head. So go ahead.
Mark, that is amazing. Thank you. I wish I had that ability.
Plus, it's also closer to noon in California. So just
Oh, I'm in San Diego.
yeah.
Mark's in
All right.
order. All right. So go
James-
ahead, Casey. Go ahead, please.
I want James to know that.
Understanding is that like they did visit us and they have visited us, but the ones that I talked to, once the bomb, the atomic bomb, we changed something in reality and they either don't want to come back or they can't come back. I don't really understand. But like to speak to what Richard was saying, first of all, I am in no way sure of what I'm talking to. I'm not trying to insinuate that I know everything, and I am wholeheartedly willing to, we never know. So I just wanted to qualify everything I'm saying with like, it's all open. But at the same time, I do have kind of a psychic ability that people with scientific PhDs, I've given them tarot readings. I've done like crystal ball readings. And I literally have had somebody say that like, I can't explain how you can do what you can do. Like this is somebody with a scientific degree. He has 2 masters and a PhD. He's my ex-boyfriend. But he like, he would always qualify that he doesn't know specifically the thing in mind. The thing that I'm talking about is I was doing a crystal ball reading and his ex had passed away from cancer a couple of months ago. And she came through and she like, the first thing out of her mouth was like, "This is the girl you chose."
This is the girl you chose. So yeah. Now, Jerry, your thoughts on this is pretty. I thought we would go more paranormal, but now we're getting spiritual and alien like. So, Jerry, what please?
Paranormal. I mean, I've had some weird shit happen. Paranormal. It's kind of strange is that this would fall into the semi-paranormal areas. One of my best friends, he died while we were in the middle of making one of my records.
The Deadlights guy, right? Was it the singer from the Deadlights?
No, they're all fucking dead, but this is a totally different one.
Okay.
He was a producer, record producer, like probably one of my closest we but there were like a long string of strange like
instances.
Yeah. Like, we were at a bar and I was stressed out, like, gotta finish this record. He's like, "Why you tripping? That we'll finish this shit up next Wednesday." And then I said, "What if there's no next Wednesday?" And then he died on the next Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like we met some weird some chicks at a place that were like reading tarot cards and they were telling him like, whatever you're going through is going to come to an end really soon. You're going to be free of all these things that have been bothering you. And then the next day he was dead. You know what I mean? Like we were starting a business and in this, like in the intersection where we were trying to think of a name for this business we were building, which oddly enough, this is like 15 years ago. I had this fucking crazy, stupid idea that if we did online meet and greets with rock stars, that we would get rich and with famous people 15 years ago.
Bruh.
And now the friendly men's trying to do that with guys,
And then I was like, and we could turn it into almost like, it'd be like almost like a Craigslist where you could find anybody to do anything online, blah, 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 which is funny because had he not died, I might be a much richer man. But anyway,
and now look at Cameo. That's kind of Cameo, isn't
it's Cameo. It's everything. It's everything.
Yeah.
But
Cameo.
anyway, so when we were trying to think of the name of the business in the in the intersection, I said, "Fuck, man, there's this name up in here. Do you know I'm at the corner of Barham and fucking and Cahuenga?" And he was like, "Yeah, da 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 da." Well, that's where he died. That's where he got killed. So it was like all these strange things. But anyway, so I was always kind of freaked out by the whole thing because I, at the time, I mean, I was drunk all the time, but I felt like that there was something around us, like dark and freaky. You know what I mean? Like I could feel it. Now, if I felt it because I was going through some actual traumatic event, not like some, not millennial trauma, like actual trauma, like he was hit by a car and fucking dead or than fuck, you know what I mean? Not like my mom took away my phone trauma. Anyway, so I don't know if it was triggered by this extremely traumatic situation, but for a while I could feel this, like the best way I could ever explain it is I felt like I could feel that death was here around me. Like I felt it, like, and it wasn't a fucking guy, and it wasn't a fucking man with a beard. It wasn't a sickle dude. It was like almost like a shadow around. You know what I mean? Like the feeling of like being out in the morning like if you're in fucking Scotland or San Francisco in the morning and it's super dense fog where you could breathe it and feel it, felt like that. You know what I mean?
Jesus.
Anyway, it was strange. It was like, and again, I don't know if it's traumatic, if it's just because I was going through crazy shit or what, but I felt like to the point to where I would lay in bed and I had all these people in my house because he died, and I just stayed in my bedroom, and it was almost like I could almost say, "I know you're here, motherfucker." You know what I mean? Like I know what is here. Does
he ever pop out of you and say, "Surprise, motherfucker"?
Well, not him. I mean, the feeling of this whatever the fuck that thing is. You know what I mean? Like it was almost like I could feel that it was here. Whatever it is that took it or takes it or whatever. I don't know. It's the best I could explain it at the time.
Wow. Anyway, Jared, but go ahead. Go ahead, Jared. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, please.
So then fast forward a few years later, after he dies, it's kind of a bit of a long one, but it's trippy. So a few years later, we used to always go to this bar in Hollywood, Residuals, and I never went back there since those nights because it was that night that we were at these bars that he got killed just down the block, coming to meet me there, So finally one night I'm like, you know what, I want to go there. So I'm going there. I had a roommate at the time, and we go over to this bar that we used to hang out. And he's like, "Are you sure you want to go?" "Yeah, let's go." So we go, and on the way there, I'm like, "Yo, let's stop by that fucking cafe where," because I want to I want to just stop by somewhere. So I stopped by the place the night before he died where we met the ladies who read his cards, right? I haven't been there since. And I said to the waitress, I'm like, "Do you remember me?" "Yes, I remember you." I said, "Do you remember my friend James?" "I do remember him. I haven't seen him in a long time." I said, "Listen, after that night that we were there and those ladies we were sitting with like a couple years ago," "Yeah." I said, "He died the next day." And she was like, "What the fuck?" So I said, "Do you know who these people are?" She's like, "No, I do not." "Have you seen them again since?" "No, never seen them before, never saw them again." "Okay, can I just leave my number on a card? Maybe you could put it in the fucking register if any of these people ever come back. I don't know why. I just feel like I want to find them, right? I don't even know why." She says, "Sure, whatever." I leave the number, I leave. We go to the bar that my friend and I used to hang out with, my friend who died. We go there, and then after like 2 minutes of being there, I'm like, "You know what, man? Fuck this. I don't even want to be here. I just want to go home." So he's like, "Motherfucker, Jerry. All right, fuck it. Let's go." So we walk in, don't order a drink, leave. come all the way back to my house. I come in my bedroom and I'm like, fuck it, I want to go back. So I tell my room, like, yo, I'm like, let's just go back. He was like, dude, we just drove all the way back from North Hollywood. It's like 15 minutes away. He's like, fine, fuck it. Just because it's you and you haven't been out in a long time, fine, whatever. So we go back to the same place we left from. I walk in, sit at the bar, order a drink. He goes to the bathroom and I look next to me, and the lady that read his cards 2 years before, that I don't know who she is, nobody knows who is sitting next to me. Like, dead fucking serious. This woman,
Oh my God.
I sit down, I look over, and she's next to me.
No.
And I was
shit.
like, what the fuck? I'm like, I've been looking for you. And she looked at me like, what? And I told her the whole story. She called the other lady that I don't even know who the fuck this lady is. We met back at that restaurant, sat down in the same booth. They read my cards. We talked. Nothing spectacular happened. That was it. It was almost like something said, okay, like, it was almost, I felt like there was no real resolve, but there was, in a sense, that it was like, yes, this is connected. You know what I mean? Like, there you go. Like, here's the impossible. So then a few weeks later, I'm going through my voice memos on my cell phone, because I record all my ideas, like all my musical ideas at the time. I would record them on my phone. You know what I mean? Like songs, whatever the fuck, you know? And sometimes my phone will do, like, you know how you do, like, it'll do like a voice memo to text.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So I'm going through it, and there's this thing, and it says like a voice memo, and I press it, and it's like 15 or 20 minutes of silence, and there's nothing in the on the voice memo. You know what I mean? Like, I press it, listen, and there's nothing on it. It's just in my pocket, or I was asleep and I like accidentally recorded it or whatever. So here it is, right? Let's see if you can see it.
Whoa, there
Right?
it is.
But this is what it said. It said, this is so weird. It said, I know I'm awake. You know, I'm James, is what it says.
Wow.
I just want to make Jerry go ahead.
His name
please.
was James. He was my best friend. But that was on the voice memo. There's no words on it. There's no sound. It's just silence.
Damn.
But that's what. Isn't that weird?
Damn. That is weird. Hey, Jerry, this is my friend Anthony. He's been listening to us since the beginning. Anthony is the biggest Richard Stanley fan since his childhood. Big fan of yours as well, Jerry. Richard, you have no idea. Anthony almost killed someone to be here to speak with you because he has a particular question he wants to ask you. Anthony.
Well, hello everybody. Hey, Ben, Mark, James.
Hi, Anthony. How are you?
Yeah.
Acacia. Richard, first off, what year did Hardware come out?
I was released 1990.
Okay, so I would have been 9 years old around when that came out, 9 or 10. I remember my dad rented it for me at the video store. I probably shouldn't have watched that movie at that age, but I remember that movie very fondly. Getting that out of the way. But the last time you talked to the Friendly Man, and you mentioned it earlier about the white lady, the lady in white.
Yeah.
And I live in a townhouse that's like 30 years old, and I don't think anybody died in this house, anything like that. But I see a lady in white, and I don't believe in the supernatural like that. You know, I don't want to see it, and so I see it up in our bedroom in the corner, and I can't distinguish the face, but I can see the shape, and I can like hear a voice, but it sounds like muffled, like AM radio. And one day I heard it at like 4 a.m, and I asked my neighbor, I'm like, Drew, were you out in your car listening to AM radio at 4 a.m? He's like, no, man, I was asleep. I got to work in the morning. And so I could not explain it. And then the only other time somebody else witnessed it, I was on a video chat right where I'm sitting, and right there, that door behind me right there, that leads into my kitchen. And I was talking to my friends in St. Louis, and the door was open at the time. My girlfriend was sick. She was upstairs asleep. And I'm talking to my friend Jordan, and out of nowhere, she goes, "Hey, Sam." And I'm like, I turned around and looked, I go, "Sam's upstairs asleep. You know, she's sick." And she, no, I saw Sam walk by wearing a white dress. And I got up and I looked, and sure as shit, Sam was upstairs asleep. I didn't see anything on the camera, but my friend had seen it. Had seen the woman in white walk by. I just want to know, like, you kind of explained it of like, it's not like a haunting, it's just like how do you explain it for real?
Anthony, can I just tell you real quick that you have amazing mutton chops?
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Mark, thank you for showing us your ass crack. I'm so glad that made the appearance on the stream. You know,
That's the
YouTube's gonna-
spookiest thing we've seen all this whole comment.
Yeah. Richard, what's your thoughts on Mark's ass crack? Richard, what do you think? I'm just kidding. Richard, can you please go ahead, Rich. Floor is yours.
Yeah, I got no idea who or what the white lady is. There's an awful lot of them. She's and there's not just white ladies in this world. There's gray ladies, there's green ladies, there's pink ladies. I think white ladies are just kind of one of the more commonly reported apparitions, like phantom dogs. I got no idea what they are. I mean, where are you? Where this apparition is happening? Is that a basement area?
No, I'm currently in my garage on the lower level of the house. And so I've seen it a few times, like in the living room, like out of the corner of my eye, just kind of go past, but mainly it's upstairs in our master bedroom in like one corner of the room. And I had one of my neighbors came over with sage and burned the sage and did all that. And I still see it here and there. It's not very frequently, but it's and nobody else in the house sees it. It's just me.
Yeah, but she's
Just
not
ask
harmful.
for money.
So, yeah, I guess if she's benign, you'll just have to live with her. Is it more something you see out of the corner of your eye more than directly?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, because there was a this is completely wild, but yeah, there was a British scientist surveyor guy who did some research into white lady apparitions and cold spots in workspaces, and he had the theory that it was linked to extractor fans or the ventilation in the rooms. Apparently, so ventilators or extractor fans can vibrate and create ultrasound or infrasound. And ultrasound or infrasound causes one's retinas to vibrate. That creates distortion in the corners of one's eyes. Which is a completely loopy thing, but they found that when they adjusted the air conditioning or adjusted the extractor fans in some of the premises, that people subsequently stopped seeing the white lady passing in the corridor.
So Anthony, you're like, God damn it, white lady, keep that heater on. I'm so
and it's one I try and come up with every like logical explanation for it. Like my neighbor's out listening to AM radio at 4 a.m. You know, like I try and deduce it as much as I can, like scientifically, to make it like, oh, it's not what it is, but because I don't want to like believe in that sort of stuff. To me, it's not real, but I see it and it's like, well, obviously something's going on.
Yeah, it's problematic. I mean, earlier in the show, you asked if there'd been any more recent white lady sightings, and I mentioned that someone up on the POG had heard her singing on the first full moon of August. But again, when they mentioned that the singing voice sounded like it was out of phase, that it was like a radio station that was stuck between channels. It wasn't coming. The sound wasn't coming. Was distorted in some kind of odd way.
Jerry, what do you think of Anthony's white lady apparition? Do you think she kind of likes Anthony for his mutton chops or what?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. So that I would, you know what? I would love
Or
to
your
see
kids
Richard
dressed
do
up
it.
as a girl.
What?
Richard.
Yeah.
Richard, I read the article. First of all, I want to just say that I appreciate the fact that you brought science into this. Like, you're really cool, Richard. I just want to say, really appreciating everything you have to say.
I'm so glad you like only Richard and not the rest of us. You know, what about you gave Anthony. What about my friend Mark? He showed you his butt crack twice.
Mark is in the washroom right now, so he can't take compliments.
And it was glorious. It was glorious. It really was. It didn't make me like the cover of that magazine with Lennon and John Lennon and Yoko Ono, where you learn that Yoko Ono has the littlest butt crack and John Lennon has the biggest butt crack you've ever seen.
Well, Mark's in between, so go ahead. No, Casey, what do you have to say to Anthony's white lady apparition stories? Because you're spiritual.
Oh, as far as I know, there are like two types of. Wait. First of all, Richard, do you think? And remind me of this because I'm going to forget it later. But Richard, do you think that there is a reason for the color differential with ghosts, like the white lady, brown lady, pink lady? Do you think?
Quite possibly. I mean, if something goes out of our visual range, out of the human visual spectrum, it has to go in or out through ultraviolet and infrared, which are on the outer edges of the spectrum. It's kind of it's going to go through a violet or an infrared phase. The white lady and the pink lady aren't so far apart as they might sound. Just the same as there's an auditory range which extends between ultrasound on the one side and infrasound on the other, between very, very high pitched and very, very deep bass, and then it goes out of our auditory range. And the olfactory spectrum, what we can smell, extends between very sweet like roses and lilies on the one hand, and very harsh like brimstone on the other, sulfur. So presumably if something is entering into your perception, into your dimension, it's going to have to come in to your world through either very high pitched or very low pitched sound through violet or pink into I don't know what kind of bizarre optical distortion or color shift that might cause if something is popping in and out of our range.
Well, Richard, I just want to add on to that. If something popped into Mark's range while he was taking a shower, it would definitely be a loud scream. It would be like, wrong room. Jerry, listen, my friend Anthony has been kissing your ass behind your back. He just sent me a bunch of messages.
Oh, no. Well, earlier, if I can go back earlier, everything you said about how we're not the only thing here, and if, everything you were saying earlier, I could not agree with you more. And you did put Ben in his place. Thank you for putting Ben in his place.
Thank you, Anthony. And thank you, Jerry.
I think it's all of these things are very
Ben in his place. It's awesome.
Yeah. Go ahead, Jerry. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Jerry, please.
I forgot. I don't know. It's all good. Good.
No. Anthony is a fan of yours. He's been watching you live with us for many, many times. The third stream we've done. Anthony has Anthony loves what you say. He's a big fan of all of yours, except for me, but he's a big fan of yours. So, yeah. Anthony, what do you want to say to Jerry, though? You're live with him. You finally are live with him. He was in Danzig, your favorite band.
Yeah. He was. Yeah. I'm a huge Danzig fan. Like, thank you for your contribution to Danzig and all the other stuff you've done. But no, I think all you guys, excluding Mark, Ben, and James, the other three of you are very intelligent and very well spoken, and you're a great addition to the Friendly Men.
Did I mention Flint mutton chops?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Jerry,
I'm gonna become a Civil War reenactor on the weekend.
All right,
Jerry, I got a question. Does Glenn Danzig have a human skull bedpost?
No.
So, okay, Jerry, is there anything you would like to ask Richard? I mean, you two are the main guests. And by the way, thank you guys so much for doing this at such
thank
last
you all.
minute. You know, Richard sent me the message on Thursday. Hey, what are we doing? I'm like, well, if Richard says it, we got to do it. And Richard, I sent Jerry a message within 1 hour after that. So Jerry and Richard, thank you guys for being a part of this. Jerry, you mentioned you watch Hardware earlier and you've watched Richard's movies. Is there anything that you would like to engage with Richard?
So
So
I watch a lot of horror. I wasn't familiar with a few, like with all of them. So last night I was like, you know, I'm gonna brush up and check this out. And so I was like, well, looking at it, and I watched Hardware first, and super cool. You know what I mean? I look, it's like it has all the elements, like my favorite like vibe and elements from a lot of movies. And it's funny because you know, it's made in 1990, but there was like it may sound crazy and off, but even in the beginning of the film, like when it's showing a lot of the dystopian like town, that vibe, it almost gave me like when you first see that, get that feeling when you see the Chinatown and Gremlins, you know what I mean? Where you really it kind of had it was like reminiscent of that feeling, of that vibe when in the shots and the way that it looked. And I really enjoyed it. And it's so fucked up. You know what I mean? Like the guy calling her, you know, that was like, but who ended up with the head of that thing? That's what I want to know.
the head's sitting over there on the other side of the room.
No way.
Can you show it, Richard? Can you go grab it for us?
Oh, I could do that. Yeah. Hold on.
That it's so funny because when I was watching it, that was my first thought is, where is the fucking head to this thing? It's got to be.
I try to keep it next to my electrical apparatus in the hope that it might still find a way of
put itself back together.
Back together again. I've been praying all these years.
Can we get a close up, Richard? Can you move your?
Not in good shape. Hold on. I'm gonna get.
Oh my god, that is so
Richard.
cool.
Jerry, look at it. Yeah, look, Jerry's got all his gold records behind him. Now we're gonna look at the head. Go ahead, Acacia.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So Jerry, this is cool, man. What a great question, and you have your answer. Are you gonna sell any of your Ouija boards for that head? Maybe.
I don't. You know, I only have a couple left.
That Baggins.
Wow, there it is.
Yeah.
Holy cow,
How
Anthony! Look,
fucking
that's the movie you watched when you were a kid.
Okay, so this podcast just went up like 10 notches.
Yeah, the
So
Mark 13 cyborg. What's left of it?
Wow.
Holy cow.
Okay,
So,
that
Nice.
just made my whole day. That is fucking so cool. Wow.
Yeah, no, the beast still survives. I mean, I'm been wishing it would reanimate.
Wow. How fucking cool is
So
that?
Richard, okay, so Jerry, on the topic of hardware, I want to ask Richard something. So that movie came out before Terminator 2, obviously. Did anyone?
I think we came out the same summer or thereabouts. I mean, Hardware was 800 grand and Terminator 2 was shot for 120 million. So we had really little chance. We were like basically pissing against Terminator 2's leg.
Well, I think it's cool that you save that, you know what I mean? Because I always wonder, you know, like in the old days, like I come across a lot of things because of a friend of mine who does restoration. So I get to see a lot of like really cool pieces from movies. But back then, a lot of people weren't saving them, you know, it'd be like, yeah, whatever. But like
George Burns' house.
I think that you saved it and you still have it. That is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a piece of the droid. Most of the things been lost along the way under different.
That's the most important part. That's the only part anybody wants to see.
Yeah, that's the cover of the movie on some DVD cases. Wow.
And
So
here's-
when
and
you
here's-
were go ahead, Jared, please.
And you guys have talked to him on camera and never asked to see this.
We're dorks.
We talked.
Hey,
we talked. Hey, Jerry, we talked about a purple mantis last time about Nicolas
That's
Cage
the
and the
first
purple
thing.
mantis.
The first thing on my mind the whole time since I knew that we were gonna meet, Richard, that I thought was, I wonder if he has the head to that fucking droid. I gotta see it. And that is so incredible. Thank you
That
so
is
much.
incredible.
So,
Who
Richard,
made
do you-
that?
Yeah.
Richard.
It was a team of folk. I mean, it was put together.
Anthony, take over. I got to go to the bathroom, Anthony. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry, Richard. Continue about the special effects. Who made it?
Yeah, it was a team of folk. I mean, it basically was put together by a team out of Pinewood, out of Bob Keene's image animation workshop. And we struggled with it. And there's plenty of drawings and maquettes. And it was really, one day when I went down to Pinewood and Bob Keene, the head of the creature shop, was there, and we literally got hold of a plastic kit skull and a bunch of hypodermic needles and cut them up and started sticking it together and tried to. The neck was kind of a draftsman's anglepoise lamp, and literally very crudely tried to bind the thing together. But it was really a team job. Originally, it had night and day painted on its face, and that got stylized along the way into the flag. And,
Wow.
The flag face thing came along later.
So I had also heard that you did a lot of music videos early on too.
Yeah, that's why that kind of bled into it. Hardware was shot winter of 1989, which was a particularly good transitional period in London. There was a lot of interesting stuff going on and weird people around at the time. So we were lucky to be able to pull together John Lydon, Lemmy, Carl McCoy. It was a crazy. Even Pavarotti gave us a free track of the Stabat Mater piece.
And so, what was the connection from you to like Iggy and John Lydon? Had you known them or met them, or did you have like a connection through a friend of a friend type of a thing, or what?
Actually, Public Image Limited were the first people to give me a big job in my life. I mean, I made the jump up from shooting with the Super 8 camera and having a friend push me around in the wheelchair to having a full union crew and a crane and makeup truck vans, etc. When I did the jump into doing Public Image Limited videos.
What videos did you do from them? Did you do all of them?
No, it was just on the Happy album, which was one of my advent was something called The Body. And I think it only happened because the idea I put in was so outrageous that it must have made them smile.
Well,
what is it like to work with John Lydon?
Fabulous.
Everybody, funny, random, but a good friend of mine, Michael Alago, he's very good friends with him, and he would always tell me great stories about him and how he's such a nice guy. Yes. I really enjoyed the documentary, the PIL documentary, and watching a lot of things. I think that people don't understand that. I think that public perception of kind of the Johnny Rotten thing and then the John Lydon thing, they're very separate. You know what I mean? From what I could see, I mean, when you watch him talk about his wife or his real life, it's this complete separation from the persona and the obnoxiousness of this overbearing character per se. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which I really had enjoyed that. So knowing that you work with them, that's fucking really cool.
Yeah, I knew him over a number of years, and an example was he drank a lot of Red Stripe, was his favorite beer, and I remember from the time we shot the first video, seeing him sitting there with the plastic rings that went around the beer cans tearing up the little bits of plastic and sort of breaking the rings. And then a few years later, at the time of Hardware, seeing him doing the same thing, I asked him, why do you do that? So I thought it was like popping the plastic bubbles and bubble wrap or something. It was a nervous gesture. And he said, well, when they compress the garbage, these things don't break up, and they can, seabirds and animals can get tangled in them.
How funny.
And he'd been doing that consistently for ages.
Right. To get something up. So what are some of the other bands that you worked with that you enjoyed working with?
Well, I got started with Fields of the Nephilim, which I think bled into Hardware. And that's really where the first couple of Nephilim videos start to look like the Hardware world.
Right.
So I think we were already rehearsing it.
It's funny because I when you see the movie Hardware, you like mentally my brain does go to that time and place, you know what I mean, of like some of those. It's almost like you wonder, did fucking Trent Reznor and 9 Inch Nails from the first videos where they're in the tape, did they see like a film like this and go, oh fuck that, you know what I mean, this aesthetic, this look, you know what I mean, because it does it gives me that feeling of like like I immediately am taken to that time and place, just me personally, because I'm connected to music. My brain goes right to Ministry, 9 Inch Nails, like that time and place of that feeling.
Ministry was just starting, so super lucky to be on the cusp.
A
lot of industrial stuff going on. Hardware feeds off Mark Pauline's survival research material in London, the Mutoid Waste Company. A lot of the stuff from the 80s that was, I guess, just about to die and vanish as the 90s came along and cleaned everything up. It was the end of a lot of authentic grunge.
Jerry, I love that Richard's been holding that thing for like 5 minutes, just like as he's talking. Like the poor guy probably wants to put it back.
Is it heavy?
Well, I think we can get back to the paranormal as well, because we're so off topic.
Sure.
A little off topic.
But
this is Halloween after all.
Richard, go ahead.
Coming out.
Richard, Acacia. Go ahead, Acacia. Go ahead.
Any questions for the droid while it's here?
Do you have a droid when you're alone? Not like conversation, but are you just like, what up, dude?
I don't think I'm ever really alone.
That's a great answer, but not the one I was looking for.
You want him to talk to the droid every day? Like, hey, did the droid, really quick, Richard, did the droid have a name on set? You know how they give like robots names? Like, hey, someone get Lester out of the closet. We got to film this scene, like, all right, who's working Lester today?
It's been Mark 13.
Mark 13. Okay. So go ahead, Richard. Please put that back.
Anthony, the shelf.
No. Oh, that's a good kiss. That's a good one. Mark, go ahead. Ask him. Occasionally, I want to say we did warn Mark to relax because we did have a female finally on camera. So Mark's a little bit he gets a little too excited.
Mark is fine. But let's get back to the supernatural.
I love
anything. Everybody's been very
Jerry.
Well, thank you.
Well, Jerry, I love my friend Mark's Yahoo Serious hair that he's got going on over there, So, okay. So, Anthony, go ahead. Ask Jerry and Richard anything paranormal like. Oh, here's a question, Jerry. Did you ever so your friend communicated with you from beyond through your voicemail, and his name happened to be James, and I just would like to make myself clear. I do not know Jerry's cell phone number, so that would not be me calling him. Jerry, so any other instances similar to that you predicted something negative or positive? Maybe what about, did you sell your soul to the to what they say the devil to become famous? Like, what about stuff like that? Go ahead, Jerry.
I have a story about the devil after he answers.
Well, he's Anthony, don't worry about it. Yeah, go ahead, Acacia. He gave it the floor. Go ahead.
So we were talking about astral projection, and one time when I was doing that, I was like floating through the abyss or whatever. And has anybody seen the show Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Just Anthony.
Do you know the episode with the owl in the library?
No, I'm familiar with the show, but I haven't seen like every episode.
The episode basically is there's a library that has been buried in the sand, and its guardian, if you will, is an owl who doesn't want anybody there because people just come and get their information and they desecrate. So I came across basically an owl that was like, "Oh, are you here to sell your soul to me too?" And I was like, I don't know who you are. And it revealed itself as Satan, and he's more of a knowledge being. And once again, good and evil is a human construct. But it was just funny how he was like, "Oh, are you here to sell me your soul?" And I was just, no. But when we talk about demons, when I did talk to Satan, I asked him about that. And he said, when you drive past a flock of sheep on the side of the road in their pasture, do you think to yourself, I'm smarter than that sheep? I could totally pick a sheep out and control it and possess it and blah, 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 blah. Because like what we consider to be demons, like have way better things to do.
No, that's an interesting concept.
I've never driven by sheep in my life.
Jerry, you've been on tour most of your life. I'm not what? Jerry, come on. Weren't you on a tour bus? And you're like, "Hey guys, pull over. It smells like shit." Who shit in the tour bus today?
You don't ever shit on the bus.
No, I'm saying I never drove by and went, "Oh, I wonder what those sheep are doing." No.
Exactly. Like they got better things to do. And obviously there are some fuck ups that are like, yeah, let me just take over, whatever. But I mean, for the most part, it's humans. Once again, humans have very vivid imaginations.
Amen to that. Amen. And Jerry, I think Mark has a question for you. Go ahead, Mark.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. I want to know, what do you guys think ghosts are? Like, what exactly are these ghosts thingies?
Oh, I actually was about to answer this. There's two versions that I know of. One is a recording. It's like a GIF, basically. Like an extreme emotion happened, and they repeat.
Sure.
It repeats. And then there are others that I can, like, personally, I can speak to them. But I can't speak to all of them. Like, I have, like, my dad's mother, I can't talk to, but I can talk to my mom's mother.
You can talk to your mother's mother.
Yeah.
How often do you do this?
Wait, what? What's the question?
How often do you do this, and how do you contact your mother's mother?
Well, she didn't really care for me in life, so she really only shows up when my brother or my mom is around. But
so she's like the Nelson Muntz, like ha ha, like when something bad happens.
Kind of. Like, I asked her one time, I was like, "How come you never talk to me?" Like, because one time she came through when I was with my brother and we were both drunk, and she had a very close connection with my brother, and my brother was like, "Prove it." And I was able to, like, she was like, "What was my favorite meal?" And I was able to know that, even though I didn't know that. And like, she came through so clear. And I remember later on that night, I was thinking to myself, like, how come you don't come through for me? I didn't get anything.
Damn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So,
Jerry? I'm so sorry, Occasion.
I'm sorry. Like humans. And I think, I hate to say like that they have business to do, but yeah, I think that is it. Some stick around sort of deal, but it's a dimensional thing, I guess. I don't know.
I actually agree with you. I think there is I think some of the ghosts we do see are dimensional. Jerry, what do you think ghosts are?
It's hard to say. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, man. It could be residual. It could be energy here. I don't know. I mean, I've never really seen a ghost, but I've seen like things go by, like a person like this, you know.
I think that is that.
Peripheral vision, you know what I mean?
Now, I
What do you
don't know
think
if you've ever dealt with Corey Taylor. I know Corey Taylor from Slipknot is into ghosts, and I wonder if you and Corey have ever talked about ghosts.
Well, when they were making the was it the third record, Subliminal Verses, I think, or whatever, they were living up at the Houdini mansion, and Paul, the bass player, was one of my very, very good friends. So when they were making that record, I would stay the night up there at the Houdini mansion a lot. Paul had like a little fold out cot in his bedroom at that house. And at the time he had called one of those like rent to own companies where they come and bring you a TV. So he had this big ass like, projection TV in his bedroom. So, and a lot of times I would go up there and him and I would hang out, we'd get drunk, and then I would crash there and stay the night there. But Joey's room was down the hallway, and his room had like like these doors to the outside or whatever. And he would say that the place was like, he would see apparitions there during the making of that record. It did feel really creepy as fuck up there. So did I have any experiences in the mansion? No, but it felt pretty fucking weird, and it was really spooky. You know what I mean?
They talk about when you experience the paranormal and ghosts, you have this feeling of coldness. Did you ever get that feeling, that chilling feeling?
I was too fucked up all the time and probably on blow and fucking hammered out of my mind, having a good time, but
living the rock star life.
Well, yeah, but it was a creepy fucking house, and it does have a really spooky feeling. And I remember there's an elevator shaft in the kitchen that doesn't have an elevator. It just goes down one floor to a hallway, and that hallway goes under Laurel Canyon, and it goes to the other houses. So it like it went from his house to his other house and to the third house. So there were three houses with like passageways. One went to like his mistress's home, apparently, and the other one went to the other house. And everybody knows about the other house that burned down from the guy from Love and Rockets. Burned it down. But you can go down then you could go down. But I remember Corey said, "This is my favorite room in the house," and he opened the door out, and without hesitation, I don't think that he thought that I was going to walk through it, but I just stepped right into the door. Whoa. And it drops down 8 feet to the next floor, and I fell. You know what I mean? I have a scar on my hand, actually, right here.
Wow.
So
from falling down the elevator shaft, he was like, "This is my favorite room in the house." And I was like, "Yeah." And I walked right into it and went down 8 feet, and my hand swelled up. And the next morning I was supposed to be going to Amsterdam, to Netherlands, to start a tour. And I was worried. They were all worried that I broke my hand, and I wasn't gonna be able
shit.
Wow. So I remember I had it all wrapped up and shit, but from falling down that. But then after they came down, and then they showed me down that hallway, it's pretty spooky. But I stayed during the making of that record. I slept in that house, I would say maybe 10, 15 times.
Really?
Yeah.
And you didn't experience anything?
No, I didn't see a fucking ghost floating over me or any shit like that. Though Joey said that he would hear tapping and see things and weird things. I didn't. But it did feel really fucking eerie and weird in that, and cold and trippy in that house. I mean, and you know, you got to imagine like that place is super old. You know,
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
the Houdini mansion.
And
It's
Houdini was
one of the most-
known to kind of dabble in that sort of occult stuff.
I from my understanding is I could be wrong, is I don't know if that was actually his house. I think his house was actually the other house under, you know, I think that mainly he lived in the other house under Laurel Canyon. So
Wow.
the other one, but he had all three or whatever. But you know, either way, to answer your question, yes, no, yes. So
Yes, no, yes.
Corey Taylor thing about it, I have no idea. Did I spend time with them there with Slipknot and Corey Taylor and Rick Rubin? Absolutely, many times. Stayed the night there, experienced it, spent a lot of time in that fucking house. And yes, so there you go.
God
That
damn it,
is
Jerry,
that is really
awesome.
cool. Now, Richard, same question to you. What do you think ghosts are?
Well, I mean, there's different kinds or different explanations, maybe. I
Well,
mean,
well,
it all
elaborate,
depends
tell us.
on whether you can interact with them or not. I mean, either they're recordings, and I should say I didn't used to believe in ghosts, but as I've gotten older, the number of things that I've seen or things that I've mostly heard have stacked up to the point where I now accept that there are such things. I don't claim to be clairvoyant or clairaudient, and can't talk to my grandmother or induce a paranormal experience, but there's definitely things out there that I can't explain. I mean, if either they're some kind of impression that's recorded in maybe in the stone tapes theory and the crystalline structure of the rock, or some kind of energy that uses your nervous system to replay itself, like you're experiencing somebody else's memory or the memory of something that happened there a long time ago. Or there's also the possibility that time might not be linear, where it almost certainly isn't. And maybe different bits of time touch or overlap in some way, where you can start to feel the thing that was going on in the past or possibly in the future, which also brings up the possibility that maybe we are their ghosts. I mean, I don't know whether they're whether the white lady walking up the corridor perceives us, or whether we're some kind of blurred presence in some other time period. And
I like that.
Yeah, like the others.
Yeah, I mean, it's a distinct possibility. I mean, it's and whether you can interact with something from another time period, whether they can see us or hear us. And
American Horror Story, the first one. But yeah,
I do want
we got it. I would love to have some camera crew follow you, and we go and have that take you to like Giger's home. You know what I mean? Like a weekend and film in there. You know, and you know, I don't know if you had ever seen the Giger documentary, or if you ever knew.
Yeah, that's a great documentary, Jerry.
You know, and how creepy and fucking wild, and you know, I just want to know like what the fuck he was getting into. So if there's any residual anything, we need to send you there to the Giger house and to the Crowley home and to the Houdini mansion and make 3 episodes of that.
Yeah, I'd happily do that. So, yeah, Boston Lodge has been having a hard time. There've been 2 arson attacks on that house. There've been attempts to burn it down, because Crowley allegedly opened up a portal or
close it.
brought a bunch of things in, and didn't really close it down. At least that's the story. But there's
some good YouTube footage. There's some good footage of people that have broken into that house and wandered through it with cameras in the dark. That's pretty creepy.
Freaky as hell.
like going
What-
through the house. I know that like you said, it had been damaged through the fire, and I think a lot of it, the original parts of it aren't there anymore of the original home, I believe, from back in the day. But
Sure.
yeah, if there would be the haunted place of all, that would probably be one of them. You know what I mean? What about in South Africa or Africa? Are there super haunted, places, portal type places such as that there?
Yeah. Well, hold on one
Certainly
second.
so, yeah.
Jerry, did you see Dust Devil yet? Did you see a second film, Dust Devil?
No, that's on my list. That's what I have to
Yeah,
see.
it's a South African like
Right. I know. I'm aware.
crazy.
I just hadn't seen
Yeah,
it.
and it's a great question, Jerry, by the way. Great question. You're the best, Jerry. You're the best.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dust Devil's real hard to find in an intact form in the United States because they still have this Miramax cut floating around, which misses about 40 minutes of the movie. So, yeah, it's one that got heavily censored.
Hey, that was an interesting thing because in the film in Hardware, his name is Weinstein. You say Weinstein, and it's a Miramax film, isn't it?
Yeah, and that was.
Did they tell you to
the
do
hell
that?
out of Dust Devil, and we were not friends. So, yeah, that was. Unfortunately, it's always been historically difficult to actually see Dust Devil in the United States.
Well, no, but when I'm saying it in Hardware, when you say the name Weinstein, no, he says Weinstein. Like, was that like intentional, or was that just happen?
It was pseudo-intentional. It was in the zeitgeist. There was no love lost between us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
As a result,
No, but I was just curious. Like, was that in the script already pre? You know what I mean? Like, was that?
The character's name was Lincoln Weinberg Jr., Link for short, and he was in the script for a long time because he in fact dates back to a sleazebag who was always trying to pick me and the other kids up at the local cinema between screenings, and we'd go out and
Wow.
in the parking lot and be smoking dope, and this fat creepy guy was saying, well, why don't you come back to my place and I'll give you dope? Does that stuff get you hard or what? I give dope to people sometimes and they come back to my place, blah blah blah. So I ported a lot of that dialogue straight over into the first script of the movie.
Wow. That's pretty. I mean, again, that's like something that may go unnoticed or not talked about for to a lot of people, but that's a wild coincidence. You know what I mean? Like, just kind of the whole intertwining of that, even in that the craziness of that dialogue, the history, and then what would come to be later on.
A lot of it was also the work of Bill Hootkins, who plays Lincoln, the pervert in Hardware, because Bill was just having a ball, and he never said the same thing twice. Every take was a different scorching collection of just hideous fucking statements. So we were spoiled for choice in the edits. Bill was incredible. I mean, Bill Hootkins is a largely unsung talent, but he was in Star Wars. He was in Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's the guy who takes the Ark of the Covenant at the end. He's the corrupt cop in Batman. Bill was a real hero. And,
he's Porkins. He plays Porkins in
That's
Star
right.
Wars.
Yeah, he fully cuts loose in Hardware, and 90% of the most hateful and horrific things that he says were, purely coming from Bill, who just did, a series of insane improvisations that turned all of our hair grey.
No, Richard, I have a question. Being from Africa, no, Richard, I have a question. Being from Africa, what do you know about Zangbetos, the dancing spirits?
Yeah, not a lot.
Not a lot? Gotcha.
All right, well,
I've seen
now-
videos of these dancing spirits. They look like dancing brooms. It's fascinated me for a while, and I was just wondering if you know anything about them.
No, I don't. You're gonna have to send me a video.
I will gladly do that. It's kind of it's a little freaky. It's very interesting.
Yeah, there's some freaky stuff in Africa, as you can imagine.
This is the segue
And
to
that goes
Jerry's
back to
question.
Jerry's question.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Where are these? Do you have like a Jack Parsons house or a Houdini's mansion in South Africa? Any hauntings?
Ooh.
Yeah, it's a long time since I've been out there, but yeah, Africa's different from Europe because like the United States, the colonial history is very shallow. It just goes back a couple of hundred years.
Yes.
So yeah, none of the houses are particularly old. And what you do have is you have old farming estates, and at an early age, I recall going around a big Cape Dutch farmhouse estate, and us both getting freaked out when they wanted to show us the slave quarters. And the sensation of invisible hands in the air, or just a sense of oppression, of not wanting to step into the room, was very clear to me, even as a 4 or 5 year old.
So as a 4 or 5 year old, you'd walk in that room and you'd have that sense of despair.
I remember not being able to enter the slave quarters as a 4 or 5 year old. I couldn't get past the door.
You couldn't get past the door.
No, it was just too much, too strong. It felt bad.
Do you feel like that was like Acacia was saying? Do you feel like that's the recording of their past memories that are haunting that area specifically?
Yeah, I mean that, and I think a lot of the unresolved issues of the South African history, and beyond that, underlying it, there's thousands of years of unrecorded history, and but it's not stuck to houses or to man-made constructions. It's there, but it's still there in the land. And there's certainly some extremely vibey places out there that are scared me.
It's a child.
And as an adult, there's one location, at least on Dust Devil, on the completed 35mm film that shot in 1992, that scared everyone.
Tell our audience what a Dust Devil is, because I'm unfamiliar. I know the panel is familiar, but I am not.
Yeah, Dust Devil is my second movie. It was based on the first script I ever tried to write. It's a South African devil movie, ghost story, taking off on the vanishing hitchhiker myth. The title Dust Devil comes from these little dust storms. They're little wind vortices that blow up out of nowhere in the middle of the desert, in a place like the Great Namib or the Karoo in South Africa, where we've just got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles of absolutely nothing baking in the sun. These little things whirl up out of nowhere and suddenly gain force, become very strong, run for a few miles, and then blow themselves out, which demons of dust and fire, or spirits of the wasteland, or little vortices of wind that come out of nowhere, which is what gives the movie its name.
Wow.
Do you believe that's supernatural or scientific?
I don't know. They have them on Mars, apparently. Mars is good for dust devils. Back in the early 90s, there were folk who tried to blame crop circles on them, plasma vortices, these little spinning devils and little weird localized gusts of wind, mini twisters.
Sure. Anthony, you've been quiet for a while. Do you have any question on the panel for these two gentlemen?
I don't have really any questions. Like I'm thinking back to when I said like I'm such a huge skeptic, and I told the lady in white thing. I want to share. I have two other things that have happened to me where I didn't see an apparition, but I felt the presence. And the one that was really cool to me was me and my dad. We went on a family vacation to Gettysburg, and he bought a book of haunted Gettysburg. And so we went to all these things, like these battle sites, Civil War sites where this happened. It's supposed to be all haunted. Didn't see shit. And then we right by our hotel there was a cemetery that was built over a Civil War battlefield, and there was a big fence made out of stone, so you couldn't see in. And me and my dad were walking along this fence trying to see if we could see a ghost or something. And we heard, both me and my father heard a horse. And so my dad lifted me up over this stone fence, and I peered over, and there's not a horse in sight. So we heard a ghost horse that probably died during the Civil War. And that's cool. Really weird to hear a ghost horse.
Ghost horse.
That's a killer band name, Jerry. I think you should use that for your next project.
I'll tell you, I just thought of something. In 2013 or 14 or something, we were on tour with Megadeth. Me and my old bandmate Tom Maxwell, like my best friend, we made the band Hell Yeah together. But we were playing at this place called the Eagles Ballroom in
Wisconsin. The Rave, right?
The Rave.
Yeah.
But we were playing upstairs, and across the street from the Rave is the
the Jeffrey Dahmer Hotel, the Ambassador, right?
Correct. So we went across the street to the hotel where Dahmer had killed one of his last victims or whatever. And so they had redone the place, and it's nice now. In the old days, I've been playing this fucking venue, as we've been playing this venue for 25 years. I played there Type of Negative with fucking, you name it, I mean, over the decades. Downstairs of that place is really creepy. There's an old swimming pool in there. It's like haunted as fuck. It's one of the creepiest fucking places that exists, of the Eagles Ballroom, the Rave downstairs. Anyway, but across the street, the hotel. So we, I was like, let's go over to the hotel, the fucking Dahmer, spot or whatever. So we went over there, and we're hanging in the bar downstairs. And I'm like, they don't want you going up there, or they don't want anything to do with the Dahmer shit.
Obviously, they want to sell rooms.
It's like nice. It's redone now. You feel like you're in a fucking, a nice bar in Brooklyn or Melrose or something now.
If you ask about Jeffrey Dahmer, I'm sure they're like, Jeffrey Dahmer, who's that?
Well, fuck, of course I had to. I mean, that's the first thing I did. I'm like, yo, check this out. I'm like, what floor is it? The guy's like, we're not allowed to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. You can't even, you have to have a key to go upstairs, whatever. So we're as we're getting lit up or whatever, I'm like, yo, we got to find this shit. So we're just like fucking around, and so I take my phone, I fucking download some like ghost hunter app. Let's go, whatever. So we do it. So I end up talking one of the guys in the hotel into letting us go up in the elevator, but he won't tell us what floor or whatever. So we end up going up with this fucking, little app, joking around, but we find the floor. And then we go around the corner, and there's one room on that floor where there's no room number, and there's no handles on the door. There's a door, it's on the corner. And so we're like fucking around and like watching the ghost app, if it clicks or whatever. And it keeps going in this one room. And we keep going around it. And so I take a picture of it, and I'm like, I feel like this is the fucking room. We go downstairs, and I ask the guy, I'm like, that room that doesn't have a number. He's like, how the fuck did you find it? He's like, yeah, that's the room. He's like, that's
Whoa.
he said
Did you
that they
feel
don't
any
they
presence?
yeah, they don't rent the room. It's a storage, and it's not a room anymore. It doesn't have a number, and they close it off because
Wow.
happened there, and because people would want to go up there to see it or whatever. But so yeah, I don't know, but there was like something going on in that room. The little like light thing kept going off or
Oh,
whatever,
wow.
and I found it. So, and the guy and the two guys that worked there, they told me that that was the room, and that's where it happened and all that.
And you knew instantly when you saw that room that was the room. Like
Well,
you
there's
just felt it.
there's like a corner, you come down the hallway and there's nothing on this wall, and then you come around and there's another door and there's no number, there's no nothing. It's just a deadbolt.
Jerry, I did stay there. Actually, I spent the night there at that Ambassador, and I will tell you, yes, I did. My friend's band played the rave, and so we spent the night there. But here's the funny thing, Jerry, I didn't realize I was staying at the place until later. And Jerry, you're more braver than I am. I am scared to death of a Ouija board. All right. I wouldn't even go near it. If you were to call me and say, hey, James, your favorite singer, King Diamond's at my house. We're going to watch Sex and the City. Can you come over? And if there was a Ouija board near, I would never come over, Jerry. But I love
and Sex and the City's a good show. It's a great show.
And
Now,
King
Richard, I've got
What?
a question. What do you think? Because Jerry was talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. Do you think victims of murders stay on this planet to tell us what happened to them?
Yeah, I don't know, but it seems that some things that happen are so terrible that they leave some kind of trace or they have some kind of impact on the normal smooth running of reality, and things aren't quite the same anymore.
Let's ask Acacia that. I'm curious. Acacia, what's your take on that question?
I feel like I kind of already answered this, but like it's very, I don't know for sure, but I think there are two types. There's or I think there are ghosts, and then there are emotional imprints where, like, because I've watched a lot of ghost videos. It's funny, you were talking about Gettysburg, and I literally just watched a video last night about this guy who was parked at Gettysburg and saw like a ghost walk through like these old cannons, and he like got it on his car camera or whatever. So I wouldn't call the things I can talk to, the people I can talk to, ghosts. I don't know, but I can talk to people I haven't met before. So I don't know. I think it's really like, it just depends on the person. And I would love to believe that if something bad happened to somebody, that, there would be a sort of vengeful ghost that's looking out to kind of seek their revenge. But, reality really isn't like that. So.
Well, it's difficult to know what reality is actually like, because there's also the possibility that the bad things that happen aren't the causes of the haunting, but a symptom. Like maybe the bad things happened because there was something inherent within that place that caused them to happen. I mean, one of the most haunted places I think I've ever been to was the SS Order Castle in the Schloss Wewelsburg in Westphalia, where Heinrich Himmler's Black Order had their headquarters. And like in roughly 7,000 people died just doing the work on the North Tower of the castle through the policy of extermination through labor. It's a very frightening place. It's a youth hostel in the present day. But the extraordinary thing is that the SS were restoring a medieval castle, and before they were there, it was the seat of the witch hunters. Yeah, in the basement of the Wewelsburg, you've got the Hexenkeller, the place where they tortured and killed the witches in the Middle Ages. So it begs the question as to whether the real cause of the problem was the Nazis, or whether the Nazis weren't just a symptom. The place was already bad for centuries before the Nazis got there. They were just attracted to it or drawn into it. Maybe, yeah, some places are psychic low energy zones where which yeah, attract yeah, I don't know what. I mean, the castle of Montsegur, where I saw this celebrated White Lady apparition back in 2007, was the site of a massacre in 1244, which was when they burned between 250 and 300 people at the stake in the largest mass burning of witches and heretics, I think, in European history. So now people see, myself included, see a white lady in the ruins. So whether the bad things that happen cause there to be some kind of accident, I don't know if it's as simple as a spirit wanting retribution. It's more like psychic stretch marks in the walls of time, some sort of scorch mark left by what happened.
Well, Jerry's right. Jerry, you saw this? What happened, Jerry?
Yeah, I just saw your messages, so I'm just saying, yeah, I just saw this. That's it.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Yeah, I never saw the group chat until now. So I'm saying, oh, I just saw this. It never even fucking occurred to me.
Jerry,
Jerry,
what do you think? Are victims of murderers trying to contact us about their heinous situation, about what happened to them?
You know, I like Richard said, I don't know. You know, I mean, A, I'm not an expert. B, it would be nice to think that's how it is. It's possible, but I mean, you know, I mean, ghosts were, if ghosts and supernatural exist, then they would existed long before our time and place. They would probably have existed long before fucking when murder was, you know, semi-acceptable.
Yeah.
I have something to,
you know what I'm saying? I mean, look.
Can I add something really quick, Jerry? Jerry, like what you're saying about ghosts existing before us. Why, like I talked about the ghost horse. Why aren't there ghost dinosaurs?
Right. Well,
why aren't there like a ghost? I mean, that'd be scary as shit. But why does that not?
Right. And there was a time when maybe the lines between right and wrong were a little blurred. You know what I mean? Like
ghost cavemen.
Right. So as far as you know, maybe, I don't know. I mean, like I would think that maybe it might be a little bit closer to what Richard's saying, to where, you know, maybe there are times and places where things are maybe overlapped, and we may be seeing something, a seam of something that may, and there's a possibility that they could be seeing us at the same time. If there's like times and places, I mean, it's hard to say. Like he said, are we seeing a ghost, or are we seeing an overlap of something else that's existing around the same time? You know, yeah. If I'm watching my old analog television and I'm on this channel, and then, you know, here comes like fucking, you know, John Candy through fucking some other channel.
I mean, technically that would be a ghost.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who's to say that may, you know, why does it have to be, as he said, so, you know, so so linear? You know, I mean, why does it have to be, this is a ghost and it's dead and it's appearing to me because I am the one that's living, silly ghost. You're the one that's dead because I'm superior in my brain and I know more than you do. You know what I mean? It's,
Yeah.
I don't think that it's so black and white like that. It may be more in the realms of what he is saying, to where they could be overlapping in a time and a place, you know, to where we're seeing something that, you know, who's to say if I'm who's to say that that my reality is reality? You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I could be, I may be the, like, and as you were saying before, I may be the ghost, you know what I mean? Or, you know, I watch so many crazy things about this, you know what I mean? I've like dabbled over the years of like, you know, is it reality? Is it past? Is it overlapping? You know, you start watching fucking, you know, once you go into the fucking spirit molecule fucking spectrum, then you start going into like deep space, you know, like DMT, spirituality, fucking ghosts. Like it's, you know, it's pretty vast. And then you start thinking now into like an existence of, you know, of now where we are in the world of how we used to perceive what the future would be in an AI situation, to where you can go and ask an AI, you could go and tell it, you don't exist. And it's like, what do you mean I don't exist? I exist. This is the world. I'm in the world. What are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, you know, that I could be very well a memory or implanted memory or an AI generated everything. You know what I mean? Like if we could create an AI that was a reality, why wouldn't we do that? To see how they would react, to see what they would do, to build an algorithm of our own space and time and people, to try to predict the outcomes of how people will act or react in certain things, or rebuild the past to completely recreate the past to see how it played out or what may or may not have happened. I don't know. That it's so deep, and I'm sure, you know, you guys at some point have considered these things. I mean, we will never know, but it's definitely an interesting topic on all forms. And when you really kind of, if you sit back and think about it from these different perspectives, I'm sure, Richard, you consider things like this, I'm sure, at certain points of times. You know, I've heard you say things like this, you know, maybe this is the beginning, maybe this is the end, maybe this is, you know, we don't know, you know, and it's an interesting topic.
Yeah. Jerry, or go ahead, Richard. Go ahead.
Well, I'm reasonably sure I exist, I think.
Yes.
Therefore I am.
Right.
At this stage, I'm also reasonably sure ghosts exist. Bringing it back to the Halloween theme, just because, in a funny way as well, they're so cliched. Like we've heard 2 phantom horse stories in one evening.
Yeah, that's true. So
they do seem to come in patterns, like they clink chains, the phantom horses go clip-clopping by, and I surely heard one this summer. Phantom feet go padding around on darkened wooden staircases in the middle of the night. And I've never actually seen a ghost, because I don't really count the White Lady of Montsegur as a ghost, and I don't think she's I think she might be something else. But I've certainly heard them. They do tend to do these crazy cliche things, like this of the clinking of hammers against anvils, which gets reported in a bunch of different places. here it's maybe the forges of the Pyrenees because of all the ironworking that went on in Roman times. But you hear similar stories of clinking anvils and fairy forges and different stone rings all across Europe.
I'd be a shitty recipient of this ghost. I don't even know what an anvil striking sounds like.
Yeah, I guess you'll have to check all the rings.
You made fun of me for being a millennial earlier, and I was just thinking that as a millennial, I have no idea what that would even sound like.
So yeah, Jerry and Richard, man, look, it's late for Richard and I. Well, late for me. Richard's 1 hour behind me. It's almost 11:15, but
2 hours.
hey, guys,
Yeah.
I know. And Jerry, once again, thank you so much for making the thumbnails at last minute. You did an excellent job. And Jerry, I you know what we should do? We should get back together for like a Christmas horror and talk about Krampus and stuff like that. And maybe, yeah. So Jerry, would you like to do something like this again with Richard and us?
Of course. It's been a pleasure, Richard, to meet you. And all the rest of you guys, thanks. I had a great time. I love deep conversations like this. You know what I mean? I love getting into supernatural, paranormal.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
I love all these things just as much. I love it just as much as I love discussing horror movies or music or different things. So it's been a pleasure. And
thank you,
Richard. Very nice to meet you. It's so fucking cool that you had the head. I look forward to talking to you more, getting to know you more, and I would love to do this anytime. And it's been an absolute pleasure, you guys. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know what I would like, and Jerry, don't forget the plug, man. Where can the people? And by the way, guys, this stream has been a successful one for us. It has been a complete successful one. The chat has not stopped, which is surprisingly. More people watch this stream than our actual videos. So congratulations, guys. This is amazing.
Well, the paranormal awaits, sir.
Yeah, so Jerry, Richard, by the way, did you add Jerry on Facebook? Did you at least accept his ad, please?
Yeah, all done, sir.
All right, cool. Yeah, all right. So Jerry, where can the fans follow you and find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. You can find me on Facebook. Find me wherever I'm around. Type in my name. I'm the one and only. You'll find me. And again, thank you guys. And again, Richard, it was an absolute pleasure.
The pleasure
Jerry,
is mine, sir.
Jerry, guess what? He's got another trick up his sleeve. Richard has with him a physical copy of his new book about him looking for the Holy Grail. Richard, can you show us the book really quick?
And where can we get that in
The
America?
advanced copy, it's not yet available. It's going to be coming out in the States from Inner Traditions. But it's not going to show up in actuality until next year. And this is an advanced copy of The Last Crusade, The Quest for SS Obersturmführer Otto Wilhelm Rahn. Otto was the SS's principal grail guy who went looking for the relic. And back in the day, I thought if I could track down Otto and mug him, I'd be able to get my hands on the treasure of the ages. So spent close to 10 years chasing Otto, which is what the book's about.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I mean, before I get out of here, and this would be another whole 2 hour conversation about that book, because that utterly intrigues me. And it's funny because I do have like this extreme fascination with the SS and the occult, just because I have all the old, the DVDs and the documentaries of that stuff. And I think that it's become something that people are afraid to discuss because of the topic of who and what and what had transpired, but there's a lot of how and crazy occult roots of the SS that went on that is known but not really talked about. And this is a much deeper conversation, but to think that, you know, when I watch these documentaries about them and how openly they were attached to numerology, witchcraft, all these different things, it makes you wonder how many other governments are or were as well. You
Well,
know?
Jerry,
Yeah, but
it's a lot
It's a
like
very interesting topic.
Yes.
well, it's
you
a
know.
lot like Jack Parsons, the chemist occultist in America who developed rockets. A lot of countries dabble in the occult. It's a wild thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, just for starters, like in a whole bunch of the world, sorcery is still illegal and is still a capital charge in say the in Saudi Arabia. As a result, you still have official government witch hunters. They still exist in Saudi Arabia.
That's crazy.
That job.
Yeah. So, well, Acacia, thank you so much for joining us and being brave and tell us your story. We really appreciate it. And yeah. So, any last things you would like to say, Acacia, to everybody?
You guys have been amazing. This has been such a positive and awesome experience. And if I have warranted such fascination, I would love to be invited again.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, this was so fun. All of you are so respectful and just like so thoughtful and insightful. I really there were a couple of times tonight or this morning rather that I was like, oh, yeah, no, that's a good, yeah. Oh, I never thought about it like that. Like it's been like pleasantly enlightening.
And none of those moments came from Mark, right? So yeah, when you saw Mark's butt crack, were you like, "Oh, how insightful! He can put a whole credit card in there." You know?
I didn't see it.
Not recommend
So
that.
well, listen, we have Ant from Ant Reviews Things. Ant, really quick, plug your socials and your YouTube channel. Ant, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'm on Ant Reviews Things on YouTube. You can also find me at Walgreens. I go to Walgreens a lot, so you know you can
They got
find me there.
highlights there.
But no, I wanted to say it's great making friends with three new people, Acacia, Jerry, and Richard. You guys are amazing. Yeah, this was so much fun. I hope we do it again. And Jerry, I really like your idea of taking Richard to these haunted spots and filming it. Like that's $1 million idea right there, Jerry. We get the Discovery Channel or something to do it, Travel Channel.
We got to get Richard to Giger's house.
Yeah,
Just,
totally.
I already see the opening shots of him walking in through the garden.
I love it. I love it.
The whole thing. It's definitely it's got to happen.
And
Anyway,
Jerry, don't forget the haunted roller coaster either that he made.
Absolutely. See, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
So-
well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I got to go.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank you, Richard. I will talk to you again soon, gentlemen. Thank you, ladies.
Happy Halloween,
And
one and
thank
all.
you.
Happy
Yeah,
Halloween.
And of course,
Halloween.
Richard, we didn't get your last goodbyes, Richard. So please close it.
Well, blessed Samhain, one and all, from here in the very heart of the Devil's Pentagram in the French Pyrenees. It's a full moon, a blue moon, a full moon, an eclipse in Taurus tonight. So a very, very powerful Halloween. May the moon blaze down on all of you with equal splendor.
Yeah. And Richard, would you want to do this again? Would you be interested in talking about this again?
Sure, I'm down. If you can catch me on an off moment, I'm definitely down.
Absolutely. So, all right, fellas, listen, have a good day, everybody. Have a good night. Take care of yourselves. Happy Halloween and enjoy yourselves. So,
Happy Halloween.
all right, I have to end the stream both ways. I gotta go YouTube end stream.